Dear Roger, oh, how my heart grows weary of war. But the people I watch pass by my window this rainy election afternoon seem hopeful, even as they shuffle out of the polls and onto the wet streets. They keep cozy warm with thoughts of tomorrow's paper, and I pray the first in a series of headlines that will read, "Soldiers come home." Mary Chestnut, the Third.
November 6, 2008. Judgment Day, many called it. End of days, quipped others. Either way, it was Thursday, the 1st of November, and the last for a much grayer, much gloomier George W. Bush. If the American people were ready to see him go, Bush himself was all too eager not to let the door bump his ass on the way out. But the question of who would replace him come January still remained. It had been a long, fierce, and exhausting campaign between the presidential nominees. The mud flew faster than John Candy on shore leave.
Perhaps what the American people need in the White House is not an African American, an Italian American, an American veteran, or even an American woman. Rather, I think what we need is a non-American, an outsider who nonetheless represents what Americans are all about and who could restore the meaning of my favorite word, American. Please send more opium. Mary Chestnut, the Third.
You know, looking back on it, it's not surprising how that election turned out. People were so tired of the war by that time. Think of it this way. The 80s were the party, the 90s were the hangover. The first decade of the 21st century, that's when the stripper called to tell you she was pregnant. And it's yours. And they're twins.
The third ticket on the ballot ran as independent, although in their own language of moviedom, they were anything but. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito had of course made magic twice before, but never together on the political stage. Schwarzenegger, Republican governor of California, he had risen to power on blockbusters, steroids, and the American dream. DeVito, short, stout, and a staunch Democrat, he provided the perfect Hollywood liberalism to offset Arnold's skeptics. But would this political worth match that of their box office? This was answered by Arnold himself in an early campaign speech.
America, follow me if you want to live. I too have a plan for the war in Iraq, and unlike other candidates, my plan is not for girly men. Pull out our troops and put in me. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
It was a campaign slogan both sides of the issue could get behind. And after a record-breaking turnout at the polls, the American people voted to amend the Constitution and then elected Arnold Alois Schwarzenegger in a landslide.
There he stands, our new president. May his witty references to his own films as a way to define his policies prove to be true. Mary Chestnut, the Third.
Arnold was as good as his word. January 20th arrived, the day he would take office. But instead of heading to the White House, he boarded a military plane and headed immediately to Iraq, wasting no time. He brought with him Secretary of Defense Jesse Ventura and the new head of Homeland Security, Tom Arnold, all on hand to help the president secure peace swiftly and decisively. The president's battle against terror was really three battles. The first took place in Fallujah in the Anbar province. The battle lasted roughly 6 minutes as Arnold and his three-man platoon took quick care of the terrorists. The second battle was in Tikrit. Being the second battle, it was a little quicker paced. They did suffer one casualty. Jesse Ventura met a mysterious demise as an unseen attacker delivered a fatal shot before vanishing chameleon-like into the trees. The final battle was for Baghdad. At one point, the president was taken hostage and tortured, but feeling fairly confident he could overtake his captors, he did. It was Arnold's greatest victory. Schwarzenegger's, not Tom's. Tom Arnold died horribly.
Get in, get the bad guys, get out. That was Bush's plan. But where he failed and lost the trust and motivation of the American people, America's standing in the world, that's where President Schwarzenegger succeeded.
The president returned to a country reborn. So it was that Arnold had brought freedom to Iraq and the rest of the world. Osama bin Laden was still at large, but to this Arnold said simply, it was a message the American people could rally behind, and for the first time in what had been a muddy and murky decade, it was a message that was all too crystal clear.